Welcome to Thriller Bitcoin. Welcome to Thriller Bitcoin.
A crazy New Year's party.
It was fun. Club Lab always knows how to have a good time.
Dude, I don't even remember most of it. But gosh, it was fun.
No, it was a good group. We started out here, Club Lab.
Yeah.
Had a good Club Lab group. We walked down the rainy street.
Yeah.
There's
not many people out. You think it's because it was like a Sunday, you think?
I don't know. I had the same problem a few years back in Denver. I went to New Year's thing, and even then, I mean, it was like 3 degrees and it was snowing, and we're in Denver, Colorado, and trying to find places to be, and streets were empty.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think people just want to chill during New Year's Eve sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely felt like one of those years. But I'm excited, man. I spent most of the day yesterday just like really thinking about, okay, how has 21 been? Because I really, like, for me, I want to ask you the same question, but like, since I got into Bitcoin full time since 21, kind of look at it every year based on since 21. So when I was looking at my things yesterday, I was like, okay, what do I want to accomplish in 24? And what do I want to do? So I was just spending time all day thinking about that. And I was like, how do I go about doing that? So tell me about, do you think about stuff like that? I know you've been in this space a lot longer than I have, but like, what are some of your goals personally that you want to accomplish in 24?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if this is unique this time around or not, but I haven't thought about 23 or 24 at all yet. 25 is like what I'm really looking forward to.
Really? Why 25?
I think the cycles of Bitcoin make things really interesting, and to think about it in that way. For instance, 2024, we'll have a halvening, right?
Yeah.
But things don't directly happen right after the halvening. Like, you don't immediately see a bull run right after that. It takes some time for the price mechanics to catch up, things like that. Historically, you see it maybe at the end of that year or sometime in the following year after that. So to me, the way I'm kind of thinking about it right now is survive 24.
Oh, you're still in survival mode?
We're startup, man. Like, we're always.
Am I not?
You're in survival mode.
I felt like I was in survival mode all year in 23, but I don't feel like I'm in survival. What is it because of the price, you think?
No, I mean, the reason why I'm thinking this is because I do think I think we're still in a bear market.
Really?
Some people have different opinions about that.
Let's talk about that. Why do you still think we're in a bear market?
I think people are a little bit more hyped up right now. I think people have a little bit higher spirits when the price is up, and there's news coming and things like that. But we haven't really hit a breakout moment or a lot of. I don't think a lot of people are seeing a lot of new entrants in the space. I don't think we see a lot of like new general normies that weren't Bitcoiners before. So I think my general feeling right now is just that Bitcoiners are feeling a little bit better than they were
Yeah.
at the bottom of the bear market. But I still see it as a bear market. I don't see that mass influx of new users and new interests. The Uber drivers are talking about it all the time. Our friends and family are hitting us up all the time. We haven't hit that. And then also like being a little bit behind the scenes on like, what happens in the Bitcoin VC space. Like, okay, there's not a lot of biting happening right now, even at that layer. I think everyone's either raising funds right now or are waiting to raise funds in a certain way. So like I don't see a ton of demand in the Bitcoin startup space right now. I could be projecting our own success upon that, but I don't see that
That's
huge
interesting.
interest. Not yet.
That's interesting.
And I think we're still in a bear market. I think until the price starts running away from previous all-time highs, then we're still in the bear market.
Gosh, I'm too bullish then. I need to pull it back.
Stay humble.
What am I thinking?
Stay humble.
What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Tony, what am I thinking?
But
that
just
makes
saying,
sense though. Yeah, I have been very bullish lately.
Yeah, but in our perspective, like we are building a wallet, right? Like, so we do want to capture a lot of new users that want a good UX in a wallet, right? So, in one hand, I'm saying survive 2024. The other hand, I'm like build to 2024. Get the wallet in a great spot so that when 2025 happens, we're in a great spot and we can service the users and the new bull run to come. So everything right now to me is get through the bear market, build the best product, build as much as I can, and then in 2025, let's go fucking big.
Okay, so from what it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like you're still in this kind of building mode, still taking it one day at a time, still checking everything, looking at everything, doing your due diligence, all that kind of stuff. Once you start feeling the thing around you, and you'll know because you've been in a while, so you'll know what that feels like. Then at that point, that's when you're gonna really start servicing the users, whoever, clients, and start going at it. It sounds like.
Yeah. I think we'll know when we're ready for that. We've seen while Satoshi leave the United States, and we got some new influx of users from that. But we know we're not ready for that yet. We know we're not to the UX of Wall Satoshi. People just want payments to work, rightfully so, right? Yeah. And non-custodial Lightning is just it's just not there, and it's just not to the level where consumers can use it in that way, and that's I think that's just the reality. I don't think Lightning will be end user ready. It's a little bearish on Lightning, but yeah. I think I see Lightning more as the glue to keep everything together, to keep the interoperability, to keep like payment channels amongst merchants and peers, places where peers have connections to, things like that. I like it's building Mutiny Wallet and dealing with all the constraints of Lightning. I was talking to Keon a few weeks back, maybe it was 2 days ago. I don't know. It feels like a few weeks.
Yeah.
But it's just like, did we all build on the wrong tech? Did we? Oh
crap! Really?
Like did we build under the assumption that Lightning could do what we needed it to do, and do we all brainwash ourselves in a way that we could do what we wanted to do with Lightning? Build the sort of applications that we want with like a good UX and a good user experience, and something that they can trust and that they can use properly. And did we fool ourselves? Did we build on the wrong tech? And I don't know. I think we built on what we could at the time, but I don't think Lightning has the properties so that will ever make it end user friendly.
Okay, before we jump into that, because that's a whole. I feel like that's a whole nother. That's a conversation we get into a little bit later, and I want to talk about that because I have some opinions on that, and we can get into everything else. But before we get there, like I want to know what you know when it comes to being a founder and how you see it, because you're a good friend of mine, and you're CEO of Mutiny. I don't know if too many people know that, but you are. So a lot of it's on you. It's like your head on a platter, pretty much, right? Like I mean, obviously you have some ride or dies in your team and stuff like that, but how do you, how do you look at your day to day? And when you look at that position, do you take it seriously? Do you what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's hard sometimes because I'm CEO. Like in some way, I used to say on paper, but I mean, I am. And then we got Ben and Paul as well, CTO and CPO. And ride or dies. We all got share the same equity. We all work as hard as each other every single day. Um, but someone has to do the paperwork, and we're all devs. So it's like, okay, well, I guess that'll be me. Someone's got to be a little bit more front facing, or bring some of the things together properly. So like that's kind of how I'll see my day to day. Like when I on the days that I get to just code, and last month was just all coding, and it felt real good because there was a lot of other stuff that I had to deal with, like months prior to that, but last month was all coding, and it felt so good. But things dropped in other areas, right? Like we weren't marketing so hard, we weren't bringing a lot of features together and shipping a lot of I think we had like one or two releases last month, and so like I think some of our traction went down because of that. Because like who markets? Well, I'll be the marketer too, so I'll go on Twitter and post things and try to think of ways to get more users and think of ways to get more paying subscribers and things like that. So like that's kind of the thing that I think a lot about. Like basically as a CEO, even though I mostly want to just code.
Right.
You have to make sure that someone's thinking about some of the other things that it takes to run a company. And so, I prefer to just let Ben and Paul code.
Oh, okay.
Let them do what they're great at, and that they don't have to think about these things. In the grand scheme of things, we have to think about building a better product and building, something that can get users and stuff like that. But like, if they don't have to worry about the things that I have to worry about sometimes, and I feel like I can balance it. Maybe I can multitask pretty easily, I think, and kind of deal with, okay, this can slip, that can slip. I can work on this instead. So, in my opinion, I just kind of make sure that things are still running, and that we get, don't let too many things drop in different sections of the company, since we're just three people and we don't have anyone else that we've hired. We occasionally have a contractor do a thing here or there, but we're very very nimble, very cash strapped, and
Right.
and we just got to do what we need to do to keep progressing forward, show that we have traction, show that we have promising tech and promising users to join and things like that. So the way I think about it day to day, normal day to day, I think about more like, okay, what do I need to get done this week?
Okay.
I think more about things week to week, and then the month and that bleeds into month to month and things like that. But I generally, okay, what need to make sure everything's covered this week. We send some tweets out, or we try to get better user numbers or things like that. So that's that on top of, okay, I also want to code. Let me make sure I do everything. Let me make sure I do everything that the company needs, just so I can get back to coding.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It sounds like you have. It sounds like you. I mean, it sounds like you take on the most of the burden when it comes to the business side of things. It sounds like, and obviously you fill them in, with y'all's meetings and stuff. But it sounds like you take all that on, take that load.
I mean, someone has to.
Yeah.
Right. And if we get to the point where I can, hire a COO or something, and or a marketer, so I don't have to do these. Like eventually, we'll get to that point where I can do what I'm the best at, and let other people do what they're the best. I mean, that's the end goal. Like let people do what they're the best at. But until you get to that point where you're showing that you're a successful startup, or you're a promising startup, that you can that you're the way I see it is like, I have people behind us that trust ourselves to a certain degree, and see that we have something here, and like let's see what they have. Like that's kind of the perspective I have. And also just to find partner, when I look at VCs or angels in the space, just to find partners that see our vision. Like they don't have everything figured out. We don't have everything figured. No one has everything figured out, right? But like, is this one atmosphere where they could have success in? If we build things in a certain way, like can they prove to get massive amount of users and to make a lot of money and things like that. So the way I kind of look at it is, we have to prove ourselves at this level, in my opinion. Like it's almost like I forget the exact terminology, but it comes out in Christianity sometimes too, where it's just like, can you be trusted with a little, to show that if you're given more, can you be trusted with a lot more?
Right.
And there's a lot of startups that, some of them can raise like millions of dollars on the very first round and things like that. And that's not us. But also at the same time, I don't think we've proven that we could raise millions of dollars and do really good things with those millions of dollars. So I think we have to, when we're all first time founders, I think it's rightful for us to be looking at like, okay, can we trust these guys a little bit? Can they do a lot with a little? And then when it comes time to like, okay, I think we can go bigger. I think we've proven out the right direction. I don't think we've proven out the right direction yet. I think there's still a lot of things that we have to explore as a company and explore as a wallet, and see what we want to do and see how we can make the most amount of money, see how we can provide the most amount of value to users, and to see what the users actually want and that they actually want to use. I think all of that is still unproven. And so I think we're still in that position of like, let's see what we can do with what we have. And if we go another year and a half and we don't hit those things, then all right, that we failed. We didn't do what we thought we could do. But we're going to try our very best until it gets to that point and see what we can make out of a little.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a lot there, but it's it's well said. We were talking about this the other day. I don't know if you remember, but I don't know, man. I think once you start raising VC money, and I think my mindset's just barely changed to this mindset here in the past handful of months. And my mindset wasn't like this, in 21 or 22, but it's definitely changed in 23. Especially once you get to what you think is the end of whatever you're doing, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh wow, it's actually not the end. There's still room there to grow and continue on, but it can be the end if you want it to be. It's like giving you that choice. And during that time, I remember thinking, I was like, well, I think if you're going to raise VC money, you might as well go and try to make them the next biggest company in the world. Like, that's my mindset these days. I don't know if that's the right mindset. I just know that's kind of mindset I'm operating with now, where it's just like, I want to make like a generational company, and anything below that's just not acceptable in my head. Tell me I'm wrong. Like, tell me that's the wrong way to look at it. Tell me.
I mean, you have to have a big mindset. You have to go big. I mostly agree with that aspect of, I mean, especially when you think about a lot of early investors, like, at that stage that we're at, where we're basically, pre-Series A.
Yeah.
The people that are investing in these kind of companies are investing with the mentality of like, they have a certain amount of funds that they're willing to put towards a seed stage company, with the expectations of like, one of these seed stage companies, they want to be a unicorn.
Right.
So if you are operating under the assumption that like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to be a unicorn, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I was betting on one of these companies being a unicorn. So if you're saying you're not going to try to be a unicorn, then I'm agreeing with the mentality, like, you should be trying to build, especially if you're raising VC funds, like, you should be trying to build the biggest thing you can possibly build. And we are as well. Like, we want to be the biggest wallet, but we also want to be the biggest social payments app as well. Like, we're not just trying to be a wallet that our Bitcoin friends can use. I think what we're able to get at the current stage of ourselves, since we're just building a lot of like core tech functionality, is like, can you get
to like a Venmo, basically?
Well, that's part of the end goal. But I think, can we get current Bitcoiners, this current level that we're at, can we get all of them on board? Like, do we have something valuable enough to just the common day Bitcoiners? Can we prove that we can get product market fit amongst Bitcoiners? And then like, and then how are we showing that we're showing growth amongst them, or showing that we're able to meet certain levels in subscriber percentage basis and things like that? Like, can we prove we can build something that people want? And then I think the stages after that, it's like, okay, can we build something that we think everyone will want, or everyone will want in some way? So like, I do think, like, we're starting off small, and like, you're not going to be a unicorn overnight. So most companies
aren't.
I mean, even when you look at certain startups out there, they might have been building for years, and then you just didn't hear their name until they all of a sudden they were like really big and raised some like $80 million Series B all of a sudden,
and then everybody's like,
right?
whoa, where did they come from?
Exactly.
It wasn't like an overnight thing.
It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
Very, very few are overnight things. You can get extremely lucky, but yeah, I mean, that's the goal though. It's like you raise VC funds, like their expectation. I mean, they're trusting that you're trying to be, they're trusting like that you can build something that's a unicorn, but they're also trusting that like that's what you want to build. Either you hit that unicorn level or you just like became like really profitable and like you're able to collect dividends on that and stuff like that. So there's like, you have to have that exit in mind in some way. Whether that exit is to be a massive unicorn, whether that exit is to eventually IPO, or whether that exit is even just like collecting like massive dividends.
So I had Odell on, and he mentioned that's maybe some of these Bitcoin companies, they just release like dividends indefinitely because of all the Bitcoin that they're holding on their balance sheet. Maybe that's just the play that way it plays out. Just because it's such a we're in a weird time, weird market. It's never really been done before.
And then in some ways, some of the, Bitcoiner based apps, like, like I think about this a lot, like what are our exit strategies? And, sometimes I think acquisition. I think about that a lot, but then at the same time, you have to be an acquisition target to begin with. Right. So what do we need to do to put ourselves in the position if that's
interesting
what we're trying to go for?
Interesting. So yeah, let's talk about that because that's interesting. Because I guess ideally, didn't you worked at Bottle Pay when you did work at Bottle Pay, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Before it got acquired.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, you told me that story. But
I mean,
what did they have that allowed them to get acquired? Without you not like disclosing anything, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's already passed, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean,
is it just because of the team and the tech, or what is it?
What I believe it was the team and the tech. I would think it was a tech acqui-hire basically.
Okay.
So NYDIG ended up purchasing Bottle Pay for an amount that they said was like 200 or 300 million. I don't think that was confirmed. But I mean, the tech team at the time, like I was part of it. The core tech team was like 4 or 5 people. I really enjoyed working at Bottle Pay because, we were building like a consumer facing Lightning based exchange. It was very similar to Strike, but in Europe. And in my opinion, we did a hell of a lot with just like 3 or 4 core tech devs.
Wow.
In fact, like I interviewed at Strike at some point after, during Bottle Pay, and just hearing that like, oh, they have like 80 plus engineers, under Rockstar, and Bottle Pay had 4. So I mean, we weren't at the massive scale as Strike was, especially we didn't even operate in the US, but we did operate in most of Europe, which isn't nothing. But yeah, we did a lot with very little, and I think that's mostly. I mean, it wasn't a very successful exchange, in my opinion. I mean, they ended up shutting down. So, but I believe the team still remains at NYDIG, or at least part of the team still remains at NYDIG.
Did you take any of those learnings from that time? Like now that let me ask you that. Have you taken any of those learnings? Because you worked at Impervious, and then you worked at Bottle Pay.
Yeah.
Have you taken any of that and implemented it?
Before Bottle Pay, I worked at another Bitcoin startup that got acquired. I worked alongside Natalie Splinsky, and we worked at a learning machine, and that got acquired by a company called Highland to do like Bitcoin based credentials, kind of like certificates.
So every company you've been involved with has gotten acquired. That's what you're saying.
Well, no,
not Voltage, right?
Yeah, and then I've worked at Voltage. So I mean, I've worked a lot of startups, and yes, I do think working at startups is you start to see you see when they're ran successfully, like how to operate. I mean, it's almost a lot of the space is like monkey see, monkey do. I mean, do what, like, even when you're building a startup, like the more successful startups, the more that are easier bets to make as a VC is like, okay, does this exist elsewhere? Is this business model already been proven out? And if it has, and then you just run the numbers and you just come to, and if you're the team that can execute on it, you just run the numbers and you implement, and then you try to take part of that market share, but it's like a proven amount. It's like, okay, this company, you know, like take Slack for instance, right? Like, okay, well, what's the market share of company communication apps? It's huge. It's a huge piece of the pie, and companies do it. There's Microsoft Teams, there's Discord, there's all these companies, right? So you're just taking a proven business model and saying that you can do it in maybe unique ways. Maybe it's not unique. Maybe you just think you can capture
some of that market.
Some of that market. You go for a niche, like Slack's niche was like startup companies in the Bay Area. Like that's who they were onboarding at the very beginning, and kept building for them in mind, and specifically working alongside them. And they ended up, once you build for that niche, it starts getting more general and more general and more general, and people are asking for the same things and the same things. Eventually you can build a product that can meet the needs of as many people as possible. But you got to start somewhere, and you got to have a niche, and those kind of companies, you have a proven business model at that point. So it's really just like, in my opinion, and
that's a great way. That's a great way to put it too, because that's a great way.
The only other thing I want to say is like, I don't fucking know. I'm doing my best. I follow my intuition. I see. I think about the things that we need to solve next and solve it. But I'm almost like the last person to give any advice on running a startup in a way, because it's just so new,
dude. But no one knows, man.
No one knows.
There's like maybe Jack and Andre, and that's it. Who else is out there besides maybe Graham? But
even just startups in general?
But you know what I mean? Like in the Bitcoin space, though, who else? NVK.
There's.
Who else? But seriously, who else?
There's
who else can you get?
There's Fold. There's
I guess
Lightning Labs.
I guess
there's a lot of there's a decent chunk.
So there's like 5 or 6 of them.
I think there's dozens, but
do those people necessarily give advice?
I don't know. I think you are right. There's this is why I love listening to your podcast.
Because I want to know the answers, dude. Like, and no one's like, how are we supposed to help each other? Unless we're out there talking. The fiat space has these type of podcasts, and they're very successful, and seems like they have very successful companies doing them. So it must help somebody over there. I just don't think the Bitcoin space has enough of these. I think Valis was doing it for a little while. I know Marty did it in the early days. But other than that, I don't know.
I think a lot of Bitcoin companies still have to
prove out some stuff.
Prove out that they're successful in the first place. Like when we look at our idols in the space, the startups that we look up to and things like that, I would say that they're successful, but in the grand scheme of things, they might not think that they have
done anything
or proven out as when you compare like the Bitcoin VC startup space and like the normal fiat VC startup space. Like it's way different. It looks way different. We specifically not sought after any fiat related VC companies. We haven't no crypto VC companies. We reached out, like it's only Bitcoin only, because there's such a different market, and at least like the people that are backing us, like they believe in our vision because we share this similar vision of like Bitcoin only, not broken fiat, burn cash and create a monopoly kind of company. I think the Bitcoin companies in space, we think we can go about it differently, where we're not just like burning money. Like we have an appreciation of money, I think, in this space, because we know how scarce it should be. Even though fiat isn't, we know how scarce it should be. We should be. I don't know. Being a Bitcoiner has made me a better steward of money in general, I think. And so I don't want to run a startup where we just burn an insane amount of cash for
light it on fire.
Light it on fire, basically. Where we want to be, we want to be good stewards of the money. Now, again, some startups are very successful doing that. Just
lighting it on fire
and making more. A lot of that goes to the founders, like how charismatic are they? How good at the game of raising? It is a game. It's 100% a game, raising VC funds, and so it's how good are you at that? And that's one of the things that I don't think I'm very good at all. But we try and we do what we can, and keep progressing. And
I thought it was interesting this past week. There was a lot of chatter on Nostr where people were, they're like, well, when do you actually get VC money, or when should you bootstrap it, or when should you take donations? And it was just all this chatter, and everybody was commenting on it. And I was waiting for somebody to actually say the thing that I wanted to say, but I was like, no, Car, stay in your lane. Like, just
you want to say.
I wanted to say what you said, which was like, let me see if I can pull it up, but it was let me see if I can find it. And I was like, phew, Tony. Phew. I forget which.
I forgot what I even said.
Let me see if I can find it. That's what I wanted to say. Let me see. I can't find it. Here, I'll look it up. Keep talking. I'll find it if I can find it.
I mean, what I think I want to say to something like that. It's just you just can't.
Oh, right here. Yeah. No, not that one. No, it goes. No, that wasn't it. It was. Where is it at, dude? And no one was saying this, and I was like, why isn't anybody saying? Where's that? Yeah, somebody has to sub. Yeah, there it goes. Right. This was the line. I was waiting for somebody to say this, and I was because fail more, fail faster. If you aren't failing, you aren't trying. And if you're not failing fast, you're wasting your time and money. And I thought that was just like the mindset I know a lot of us have here in Austin. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, some of this is even a reminder to myself because like that's. And and again, I don't want to say I have anything figured out. I think there's a lot of things that you could say that, we aren't, failing fast enough trying, or I don't know. Do we have something here, or is it? Yeah, because I don't know. When you're building, I think when you're building a startup, you can get. It's easy for engineers to get in their own head and satisfy their own
itch or something.
Yeah, satisfying their own itch. And just building just to build. Like no one's asking for this, right?
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
And you're building it, and you're spending a lot of time building it. And you look around and literally no one's asking for it. I think engineers are prone to that. But even in engineering too, like I think I wrote this because I was doing some coding and I went down a path. I was doing a major re-architecture and I went down a path and I quickly found out that I can't do it this way. And I found out quick and I probably saved days worth of time.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But the same thing applies to startups as well. That's why I kind of appreciate the mentality of like launch with a Google form, like that.
Say, what do you mean by that? Launch with a Google form? Like launch with like how?
Like build a product that's literally just like powered by Google Forms, or like you have users. I mean, the classic example, Bootstrap Bandit.
No, what's that?
On Twitter? No, it's a guy on Twitter. I think it's public. His name is Tim, but he does a lot of LNP stuff. A lot of Lightning stuff in space. I mean, his product, when he has as a day job, like a day company on the side, which is basically just like finding pets, And so they ended up like just posting a Google form on Facebook, and it got massive amount of users from it. Like people were paying. Like when you have a missing pet. How much are you willing to spend to find that pet? $20, $100, more than that?
Was he finding the pets though?
Yeah, they were finding the pets.
Oh, wow.
It was like a crowdsourced way, and you fill in a Google form, pay $20, and then maybe you'll find a pet, or you'll find your pet. I mean, just that mentality of like launch something. Like, and guess what? If they filled out that Google form and no one paid, and no one filled it out, then should you launch a website that helps people finding pets? No, because you probably don't know how to market people finding pets and paying for it.
There's something to be said about that. Just launch the damn thing and then see what comes out of it.
Right. Now, in our context, I've said it many times at our company, like it's hard to build a Bitcoin wallet. That's a Google form. But we've done what we could to launch it as soon as possible. Like I think about this a lot. Sometimes I think we launched too early.
The Mutiny?
Yeah. Because there's plenty of bugs and there's plenty of headaches and plenty of things that have gone wrong and things that we can't go back and fix easily. But at the same time, like I think it's good to launch early. Like I think we sort of proved that there is this initial demand that you can get, an influx of users, building a new wallet, and then if we start solving the problem, like it's allowed us to start solving problems that we didn't think would be problems yet.
Can you think of one right now? Is it just
just Lightning itself.
Yeah.
So to get started on a non-custodial Lightning wallet, like you need to open Lightning channels, right? And when the fees were low, it's easy to make assumptions about like, oh, okay, well, right now when we launched, it was like, okay, you need at least 10,000 sats to get started. And even that felt like too much. I think, even when we launched, like we were like, oh, okay, 10,000 sats, that's no big deal. People can try out our wallet for like, 20K, 30K sats,
Yeah.
like literally dollars worth. They can try our wallet. But some people are like, what? I need like $5 worth of Bitcoin before I can even use this thing. And like to us, we're like, well, yeah, welcome to Bitcoin. But
everybody wants to serve everything for free, dude.
but they do want everything for free, but at the same time, they're not wrong. Like, I don't like the landscape of the requirements that are involved in Lightning. And so, that was one example of like something we launched, and we launched that, and then now chain fees are really high, and now it's 100K sat minimum to get started. And that we should increase that even more, because 100K doesn't cut it either in this day and age.
Gosh, dude.
With on-chain fees and the channel reserves, and like forced closures happen on Lightning. We by launching, we're able to. We're thankful for each and every user. We do have a big banner that like pops out. This is like, hey, warning, this is beta. Like, don't put that much money on here. But now we're starting to get to the point where like you need to put that much money on here in order to even get started with the wallet, and that's unfortunate. So like I don't know, I'm a lot more bearish on Lightning than when I started, and part of that's just like the landscape. But no one was promising Lightning was going to be free forever, and no one was promising, or free-ish. Cheap was quote the thing that people talk. I think Lightning fees should go up. The costs involved and the capital lockups that are involved. I think Lightning fees should go up in order for this to be like a healthy ecosystem. But then at the same time, Bitcoin base fees have gone up a lot, and now everyone operating a Lightning wallet before, they're all like, what the fuck do we do? Like now all of a sudden no one can like use an app, a non-custodial Lightning app, let alone wallet, but a Lightning app that's supposed to be non-custodial. No one can just use that without putting in like $100, $200 in order to get started with it. So it's like I think self-custodial Lightning, from an end user perspective, I don't think it's ever going to work, not on its own.
Do you think we've created this? We are Bitcoiners. We created this kind of, it's a much nicer, better user experience using a Lightning wallet. It does seem very privileged.
When Lightning works, it's great.
But Tony, though, it does seem like a very privileged network. Does that make sense? Like if you're saying $200, $300 worth of Bitcoin just to run your own wallet on your phone, like that's a very privileged thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like not the average pleb can probably do that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what we created. Maybe we just created a much nicer payments network that lives on top of Bitcoin, but it's just much more expensive. And yeah, I don't know if that's, it's probably not what we wanted, but it is what it is.
Think about Bitcoin. It's the same story.
Right.
I made a transaction yesterday. I paid $20 for it. Then like if that was a wire, I paid $20 for the wire, I'd be pissed. But okay, because it's Bitcoin, I'm okay with it. Well, on one hand, yes, I am okay with it because it is a network that like I'm partially in control of, right? Like this is my own funds, this is my own money, this is the price of sovereignty.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm okay with that, and I accept that. But when you ask everyone to accept that, it starts turning into a different story where it's like, well, I don't want to pay. I don't have $20 just pay for on-chain fees just to use this. I don't want to use this if that's what that's going to mean.
But what is it? What are we doing then, lying to ourselves and saying that's not the reality though? Do you know what I'm saying?
It's a privileged thing for sure, but think about the alternative. Like some people don't have the privileges for the alternative, which for some people is, okay, you have your PayPal account that gets shut down.
Yeah.
And now you just lost your livelihood. Your business used that PayPal account in order to collect funds from people easily online, and now you don't have that. So now what do you do? Like everything we're building in Bitcoin is specifically for. It's funny. I was going to say underprivileged.
It started off that way, dude.
Yeah,
And I don't think we're headed that way anymore. Oh,
I think it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, as Bitcoin gets more popular, there are more constraints, and now not everyone can own a UTXO. I mean, not everyone could own a UTXO anyways, but like now we're starting to hit that point where not everyone is going to own a UTXO, and like not everyone's going to have their own self custodial Lightning channel, even one Lightning channel.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to have that. So it's like we have to keep exploring alternative
So
scaling solutions.
Do you think we just keep building on top of, just becomes layers of layers? You think maybe this is where maybe this was inevitable?
I think it was inevitable. I mean, I think even Satoshi or Hal has talked about Bitcoin banks before, and we see that, you know, Bitcoin banks do exist, and they do provide a service that, like, you know, people can't have easily. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's inevitable. But you know, we have to move from this mindset. I think
we should be moving from go ahead and say it, but we should be moving from that mindset of like, hey, it's cheap to send a transaction.
Yeah. Or that everyone can do it, or that everyone can do Lightning, or that everyone can do on-chain Bitcoin or have on-chain Bitcoin. I think, or even just feeling sorry for ourselves that, like, oh, chain fees are high because these people that we don't like, they're using it now. And so now we feel sorry for ourselves. What can we do? Let's get back to the original Bitcoin that we had, where everyone was just happy with low chain fees and stuff like that. Like, it's not a reality, and that's not a solution. I think we have to keep trying to build solutions, and I think we have to move on from this. Some people have like this pity mindset about, oh, what do we do? And we just got to start doing, and we got to build the next solutions that can progress Bitcoin even more forward. So
yeah, so let's get into those next solutions, because I want to talk about. I actually just want to get a lot of stuff cleared out, you know, because I actually don't know anything. Turns out I have no idea what's going on, but there's people like yourself, people inside the lab, outside the lab, you know, talking about there's all these amazing solutions with Fedi or Liquid, Arc, even Lightning.
mm-hmm.
Where do you stand between this kind of area here where people are pitching these different solutions, and which one are you guys looking at?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or is it still too early?
Yeah, we are. So I do agree that people need to be looking at alternatives. So like things like you mentioned, Arc, Liquid, Fediment. We're looking at Fediment ourselves. It's very similar to how Liquid operates, almost from like a trust perspective. I think there's a lot of similarities there. I mean, it's all like like I think the solutions that have a quote unquote one-to-one backing with Bitcoin can kind of help solve a lot of the problems that we've seen in the crypto space. Like, you know, when Bitcoin started getting popular before, you know, everyone's spinning up their own crypto, and they're coming up with Ethereum and Solana and like all this other crap that like is supposed to solve problems that Bitcoin don't solve. But like, oh, guess what? It made all of them rich because they created a token, and they created their own currency, and they started printing that currency, and they have this price associated with it. I think when we look at alternative solutions that still have a one-to-one backing with Bitcoin, we remove a lot of the shittiness that has happened. We remove a lot of the scams that have happened. We aren't pumping an ICO. Basically, we're not pumping something that should be considered a registered security. We're not trying to get rich off of it. We're just trying to create a scaling solution that can work interoperably with Bitcoin in a different way. So, you know, Liquid helps provide that. Liquid it's basically based on top of Bitcoin, but
did they launch ICOs on it though? They launched securities.
Yeah,
on it.
You can launch tokens on top of Liquid. I don't think very many.
Tether's
people.
On there, I think. There's a couple others.
Tether is on there. That's probably the only one that people have ever used. But part of the conversations now, no one's talking, like the people in the Bitcoin space, we're not talking about using Liquid in a way where we can do tokens on top of it. We're talking about, can we use Liquid as a scaling solution on top of Bitcoin?
Okay, so basically, it's like that conversation is kind of seasoned die off since like 2018, 2020.
The token part,
the token
Yeah.
part of it, and now they're like, hey, this is federated.
Mhm. Looking at it for what it is. So the federated aspect of it, I think it's very important, and I think Fediment takes the same approach as well. So the federated aspect is just the aspect of like, okay, there's not a single person that controls these funds, and once you move from something that's completely custodial to something that's like federated, or there's not a controller of the funds, you start getting into something that acts decentralized and at least distributed, but like has a more decentralized nature to it. And then I think you can do a lot more when the thing is quote unquote decentralized and there is not a single controller, there's not a single custodian. I think you can start to solve a lot of. I mean, you can start to use it in a way where it's not subjected to like custodian laws, and you're not a controller of the currency, and you can't just like scam someone, right? Like you need like, I think with Liquid you need like 10 out of the 15 members of the federation to agree on something, right? So you would need 10 members of the federation, which are mostly other companies. There's Blockstream and there's like a handful of other companies. You would need 10 of those companies to commit suicide.
Wow.
To rob users of the Bitcoin that's been deposited in a Liquid. So that's something that I don't think we'll see. To credit to Blockstream and the other members, like I don't think they're all willing to collude to destroy all of their company's values and the people that work there and the reputation. That's like it's got to be like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of like reputation you're just going to throw away. And maybe Liquid gets that much use where like now it's like, let's say there's like $1 billion locked up on Liquid, and so these companies are like, oh yeah, what, maybe it's worth it to try to scam, right? But I don't think the thing I like about Fediment more than Liquid in that concern is that you can have a bunch of federations.
So different types of people with different types of like social capital, intellectual capital, reputational capital attached to it, right?
Mm-hmm. And you can start to build like what I want to consider it as like a sub network of like, almost like how you can launch a Lightning node and start routing payments and connecting peers and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I want to see a world where people are launching, there's hundreds of Fedimints out there, or there are thousands of Fedimints out there where people will spin up and their sole function, like they run software just like they run a Lightning node. And all they do is like let people deposit funds into it and let people deposit funds out of it. And they're not like taking a fee off of it. They're not like profiting off of it. They're just like running a node. It just happens to be a node that, keeps the restriction like
it's a module like a start 9. They're just running like a Fedi module or something.
Well, yeah, it could be on like a start 9 or anything, but like no matter where they're running it, they're just running it, and what it enables people to do is like to easily connect to it as a scaling solution and not worry about like channel fees and channel closes and things like that. So like
has anybody made any actual like really good, like, I don't know, just not even documentation, but more so this kind of like picturesque description that you just gave, and what that looks like and how it will function or flow? I mean, I'm sure you guys see it when you're testing this stuff out, but has anybody actually sit there and made like diagrams or anything like that? How it's supposed to function?
I mean, the Fediment team probably has some of that out there. And there's been people that have talked about like the what they can kind of envision something like Fediment turning into. Like Eric Yates, he wrote under, I forget the company he wrote under, but he wrote I don't know, like a 20-pager about a month or two ago about like these what happens when we start getting things like mints and federations out there in the world. And I think it's a beautiful mindset because he starts getting into like traditional finance stuff. Like, okay, well, once you have a mint, what do you have after that? And like he gets into like hedge funds that like bet on whether or not a mint is going to collapse, and things like that. So like he's bringing the finance world vision into what it would look like if we had a whole bunch of distributed federations out there. But yeah, I'm working on a piece now that's like my vision of like what what I see happening if we get a whole bunch of federations out there and we're all like, running one and connecting to one and using it. So like I see the way we're going about Fedimint integration inside of Mutiny. On Mutiny's self-custodial. So like you need 100K sats to get started, to open your channel, to pay the channel fees, things like that. I want it to be a bridge, almost like a hybrid approach. So it's like, hey, if you don't have 100K sats, you just have 10 sats, 100 sats, 1,000 sats, you can like deposit those into the federation. Deal with eCash instead of like actual Bitcoin. And then like if you happen to collect, 1 million sats worth of Bitcoin, then okay, now it's time for you to go self-custodial. So it's almost like this progressive enhancement where you start out just as a new person. You aren't Bitcoin rich. You can't afford
accept Lightning
UTXO.
and everything.
You can start accepting Lightning. And then like we want to usher people into self-custodial with our wallet. Like, so our approach is start out small. Once you get enough funds, we try to get you to go to self-custodial. Like we're trying to take a better steward approach to wallets. So it's like not like you have custodians out there that don't care. Like you deposit, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase. Like they're happy with that. They want that, right? I think we want people to move towards self-custodial, and we don't want people to put all their life savings on a federation, on Liquid, on like anything else, on a different custodian. We don't want people to put their life savings in these places. So it's like once you start accruing enough sats in our wallet, once we have this integration fully built out, we want you to move towards self-custodialship and take control of your funds. And you can afford to now. So let's go ahead and set you up with a
cold card or something.
Not even just a cold card, just to have a self-custodial Lightning inside Mutiny Wallet. Of course, like once it's to those levels, yeah. Once it's like
it's something that yeah.
Once it's like thousands upon thousands of dollars, like okay, you should probably use a cold card now. But like at least the migration from federated Lightning to self-custodial Lightning, I think.
Oh, so you still think there's another step there?
Yeah, I think I think like I'm just throwing numbers out there, but my ranges would be like if you have less than 1 million sats and you want to use an application, like I don't think you should have a self-custodial Lightning channel for that. I don't think you should pay for those fees and the maintenance and things like that for under 1 million sats. So, but once you get 1 million sats, it's like okay, pay 50K sats in Lightning fees to have 95% of that secured, right? Pay that 5% fee, you have 95% of it secured now in the Lightning channel. And maybe you want to wait until it's only 1% fee or whatever like that. Like maybe you want to wait till 2 million or 10 million sats, whatever. But like I do think there's this range of like you have sats in a custodian, you have sats on a federation, you have sats on Lightning, and then you have sats like on an on-chain wallet, like in your cold card. So like I think there's ranges that people should progress. And if they're just like, most of the time, like people are just wanting to interact with whatever application or server. Like think of Stacker News, right? Like, I don't want to use Stacker News as a custodian. That's not why I'm using Stacker News, because I don't know how to run a self-custodial wallet. It's just like I want to be able to easily upvote posts and downvote posts, or like make comments and pay in sats to make a comment or a post, or to boost my own stuff. I'm not using that as a custodian. I'm just using it because it's like good UX. I like depositing sats on the Stacker News and then being able to upvote easily without whipping out my wallet every time, right?
Yeah.
So I keep very little amount of sats on Stacker News just so I can do that. I probably keep more than I need to, but I know where Keon works and lives. So if he does anything to mess it up, I can just go to his house.
Yeah,
but most people don't
go at his house.
But most people can't do that. And so, so people should keep a little bit amount of sats on there.
I guess my question is, okay, so all that makes sense. I totally get the mindset on, wanting to use Fedi and all that stuff. So now I want to ask the questions that no one wants to ask. Let's be honest. Like everybody's afraid to take any opposite side when it comes to Fedi or Liquid or any of these other things. And I want to be that guy today. So you give me you tell me how I'm not thinking it through. Okay. So if you're getting everybody to use Fedi and all that works and stuff like that, like
Fedimint,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Also, dude, they need to change the name, dude. The Fedi name is terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. Terrible name. Anyway, I've said that before. But what I would say is though is like, will we still have to KYC and AML if we're using a federated thing, right? Like is that still going to happen? I imagine yes. The answer is yes, Tony. It has to be.
I believe there's some people that probably will do that. I mean, it depends on the laws and regulations of the members that are providing the federation. But there's different trust model there, and there's different set of legal requirements when it comes. I'm not a lawyer, so
yeah. This is all speculation, by the way.
It's all speculation, but in Obi likes to say, and I'll kind of quote him. I hope I get it kind of accurate, but like in most jurisdictions, if you're not making a profit, you're not making money on your federated custodial thing where you don't have a majority of control of the funds anyways. If you're not making a profit on that, you're subjected to less rules and regulations. So like in my opinion, because with a federated custody solution, there's not a single key holder, kind of operates in a gray area where we like if you're just one of the signing keys, what's that look like? I mean, you're not a custodian. You don't have unilateral control over the user's funds. What does that look like? Now, there's a lot of other factors that come into play. It's like, okay, well, what's your application doing? How are you pitching it? What are the user expectations? I think those all fit into the realm of like your legal requirements. But I think when you just look at the tech and you're just treating it like, in my opinion, running a Fediment node is just going to be like running a Lightning node. And Lightning, there's not everyone's KYCing, no one's KYCing each other. Everyone's just connecting amongst each other. It turns into a decentralized network. I think Lightning Network is a decentralized network. I see Fediment as a similar thing. I don't see. I've said it multiple times of federated custody, right? Like I don't even see Fediment as a federated custody solution. I see Fediment as a bearer asset issuer on its own decentralized network where you can interoperate with Bitcoin by swapping in and out. I see it as its own individual. I see it as a self-custodial bearer asset network.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, that's all going to be my article, but I think the way it operates, I think when you look in the technicals of it, what you're doing is you're swapping Bitcoin for eCash inside of a different network. I think it's more similar to swapping Bitcoin for Ethereum or Monero or any other crypto. I think it's more similar to that than it is a custody solution.
That's what I was afraid you were going to say.
Why were you afraid I was going to say that?
Because then it gets back to the whole point of all these altcoins, right? Like all these altcoins back in the day in 2017, whether it was Stellar or Cardano or whatever. Like we're right back there all over again.
I think,
and here, let me just say, and I totally get it. I understand it. It has nothing to do with anything else other than like, what are we doing? Like, are we doing this because Lightning's really hard? And I think we both agree that it really is. And it's turned into a privileged network. Or are we doing it for other reasons that are, I don't know. That's just kind of, and I don't have the answers, but I feel I'm glad that I'm able to have this conversation with you because I don't think there's anybody talking about this right now in the space. And that's not good because before we would have this conversations out in public.
I think we're doing it because Bitcoin doesn't scale. I don't think it has anything to do. I mean, Lightning's almost a side effect of that. So it's not Lightning's fault. I think it's just because Bitcoin doesn't scale to everyone. So we need to have something in place. And I think one aspect of Fediment that I really enjoy is the fact that like it doesn't require a soft fork to happen. We don't have to debate about the merits of upgrading Bitcoin to a number of different proposals of like how to upgrade Bitcoin to covenants or how to upgrade Bitcoin like to support side chains better or things like that. Like I think whatever. I mean, I partially agree with you, and like I make the comparison with Fediment and other cryptocurrencies, not because I like endorse any of it or like want any of that, right? But like when you look at how it operates technically, I think it operates like that. Except I think the key is the one-to-one backing with Bitcoin. I think that so you remove the assets, remove the price speculation amongst the assets, so you remove a lot of the shittiness that we saw in the cryptocurrencies as well. I mean, Liquid is a cryptocurrency that's alternative to Bitcoin. It just happens to be mostly Bitcoin source code with a few different scripts in it. And then it goes a lot faster. It's Liquid's basically Litecoin
I thought
without
you can do can't you do
price.
covenants, and that was another reason these guys wanted to play with it, or these people wanted to play with it.
Yeah, I think there's more scripts inside of Liquid, so you can do covenants thing. I think Arc is going to launch their covenants like solution on Liquid first. So that'll be cool to see. But we need something, and it's better that it's better that it doesn't have price speculation, because that's where a lot of the shittiness in cryptocurrencies have come from, is people printing their own funds and then getting rich off of it, and that was their intention the entire time, along with the control. I think people wanted to control things as well. I mean, that's where some of the Bitcoin forks came to be. It wasn't, in my opinion, the Bitcoin fork wars weren't a scaling solution war. I think it was a war on control over Bitcoin. Some of the egos behind some of the forks from 2017, I think it was about control. It wasn't about scaling Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I'm one of those kind of wait and see kind of guys.
But it's also like I see a combination of things. I see Liquid still probably in that picture. I see Fediment being in that picture. I see, if Arc launches on the main chain, I see.
You don't see Taro saving
it. Taro's not going to be a scaling solution. That's just a way to make a shitcoin on top of Bitcoin. See, like, when we get into those kind of things, like, there's people that are trying to make things that are shitcoins on top of Bitcoin, trying to make their NFTs, trying to do all that bullshit.
Yeah, how do you not pay attention to all that stuff and just focus on what you're trying to do?
It's hard because, like, I mean, I think as a startup, one of your roles is to explore latest things and seeing if there's any way you can.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'll give credit to us. Like, I mean, we're small enough. We're small enough as a startup, but like, we're builders too. So it's like, we can, like, if we want to quickly launch something tomorrow, I get Ben and Paul into a room and I say, hey, can we work on this? I mean, like, hackathons. We started out building hackathons together at Pleb Lab and PTC++ and things like that. And Mutiny was born that way.
Yeah.
If we wanted to launch something tomorrow to see if there was anything there, we could do that tomorrow, right? So, like, partially, I think, we should have more of an open mind to things that are happening in this space. But at the same time, I think we have principles that we abide by, and that we look as a moral compass. And some of the things that are happening in the space we don't like, and we don't agree with it. And I think we have to turn an eye to it in a certain way. So, like, the whole or no shit. I think building shitcoins on top of Lightning, like Lightning Labs is going, I don't agree with any of those on a principle. And so, does that mean our startup has less potential and doesn't make as much money because we're not looking at shitcoins? And I think that answer is yes, but I'm okay with that answer.
When I look at all you guys doing startups and stuff, I'm so lucky that I'm just doing Pleb Lab, because the only thing I got to do is just let people create whatever they want. I have no skin in the game when it comes to, like, it has to be this side, it has to be this side, it has to be this side, it has to be. I'm literally the guy that says, like, I'm like Willy Wonka, whatever you want, we have it all the flavors. Just come and try it, right? And if you need help finding whatever you need, let me know. I can get you the right ingredient. That's how I look at it. I think if I had to, thank God I don't have to choose a side, if that makes any sense. But I think it puts me in a position where I get to ask these questions, because I don't think people, I think there's vested interests from all over the place who can't say these things because they have to pick a side. It's where their bags are, are
right,
being held.
where their bags are already at. Yeah. I mean, I've had this conversation today even, but multiple times I've heard multiple people say something along those lines of, like, where they don't want to be in a position where they pick winners or losers. I think you're in that great position where you don't have to pick winners. I mean, you have to pick builders, you have to pick successful people. I mean, so there's that, but you're not making a product decision. You're not saying, I want Bitcoin to move this way, so I'm going to pick you because you can make Bitcoin go that way. Like, you can kind of have that hands off. Like, is it a cool Bitcoin idea? Does it, is there potential here as a business? Are you an entrepreneur? Like, and then you're like, okay, yes. Like, very generic, very similar properties of like what can make a successful person. You don't have to pick a product. Same things with other people in the space. They don't want to like to have an influence on Bitcoin going one way or another.
Yeah,
People don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want to be, be declaring kingmakers or kings or whatever. If that's the right terminology for it. But you want to be able to just kind of. So yeah, I'm looking in that respect, but I definitely don't knock anybody for doing what they want to do. But I think these questions have to be asked, and because these guys around the lab want to know. They want to know what they should be working on. They have a lot of respect for you, Tony, and the Mutiny team. Yeah, they have a lot of the guys look up to you guys because you guys are the, in their eyes, you look successful. My eyes, you look successful. But I mean, I know you know.
Yeah.
But it's there's people that look up to what you guys are creating and where you guys are leading. So you guys are that next generational company as far as like, hey, if the Mutiny guys are working on it and they're moving towards that direction, then there's probably something to that, right? So you guys also signaling that does get people falling in line, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate those words and know that some people are looking at but I'll again say we don't have any idea if what we're doing is going to work or is going to be successful. I think we have, and this is part of like running a startup. Like you take risks, right? And so you evaluate the landscape, you evaluate what you're capable of doing, and you can evaluate like what you're building on and what you're building towards. And I think we have a good handle on what we can do, what we do know, what we are capable of doing. And this leads us down this direction. So whether or not it's a good decision for another company with another set of skills and another direction that they want to go, that's a completely different story. So it's like, I do think that we have some signal in terms of like, hey, we just shipped some Fediment things.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Fediment. Yeah, let's talk about that because I saw you guys launch that literally on was it the 30th?
Yeah, I think it was the 30th.
It was the 30th? I was like, God, do these guys take a day off?
No.
What's going on?
I took a day off yesterday, but guess what? Paul was working all day yesterday, and I have some stuff to review today. So if one of us is not working, it's a shock. Someone's always working.
So where was it at?
Paul was working on Ben was working on Christmas Day.
Ben, take a day off.
Yeah.
So we got Mutiny Wallet. This is 4 days ago. Ending the year off strong. Over the last few months, we've been preparing our wallet for Fediment integrations. Today marks the first release with Fediment support ready for alpha testing. Then it has to manage federations. So explain this, Tony. What is this like?
So basically, I'm started implementing that hybrid approach that I was talking about earlier, where we can start to add Fediment to smooth over some of the rough edges and self-custodial stuff. So I think there will probably be wallets that are Fediment only, that only work with federated custodial.
We just call them mints instead.
I mean, mints are good. I mean, there's federation. I mean, so mint can also imply, e-nuts. Sorry, cashew. That's the word I'm looking for. E-nuts. They go the whole nut thing. They have a whole nut culture to them.
Even cashews.
So a mint could be a custodial mint where it does not have a federation involved. So I want to be very clear that what we're working with are federations, a mint federation, and not like a fully custodial federation. Sorry, fully custodial mint. But no, I agree. Like, we're trying to just use the word federations. Not even mention the word Fediment, but we could go mints. But basically, this is just the first integration of what it would look like if we had Fediment in our app. So right now, you do have to configure it, and you do have to find a federation you want to join. We don't provide a default one.
So
for users, you have to kind of.
So let's say hypothetically, here in the next handful of weeks, maybe months, I could have like an Austin Bitcoin federation, right?
Yeah.
With
ran by people you trusted. I mean, Plug Lab could be like, you could have 5 members, 6, 7 members, and they're all capable of running.
Yeah, totally. And then they would enter that federation code right there for Plug Lab.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, what would happen after that, Tony?
So we try to. You almost never have to look at that stuff ever again. What we're trying to do with it, the very first version, we have a long way to go. But once you add that Federated code, it should just be normal Mutiny Wallet that you know and love. Like you can make payments from it. You can receive more sats. Like, we did right now add a third row to the balance. So we have your Lightning balance, your on-chain balance, and then now we added your Federation balance. I'm kind of
what is this one right here?
That's the Federation balance.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to show that you can start receiving sats into a Federation. I want to remove that eventually. There's a line, there's kind of a moral principle of like, I think users should need to know that the funds in the Federation are at risk, that they do need to, that they operate under a different model than actually owning the Bitcoin. Eventually I want to just abstract it where, once you get 1 million sats, those are your sats, but otherwise it's all Lightning and you can spend it and receive it just like Lightning.
Yeah.
So once you add that Federation code, you can keep using Mutiny to pay your friends, to sat people on Nostr, to receive sats.
Dude,
like,
this looks great, man.
Once.
Like this looks great. I think for the average person, if you are trying to onboard normies, right? I think trying to get away as far as you can from all the language, it just like confuses people.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do think people need to know that their sats are kind of at risk until they move it into self-custodial in some way, whether they just deposit on chain or whether they deposit in a Lightning channel.
I don't know. I used to think that, but these days when I look at Apple Pay and I look how easy that is to work, I look at just any banking app these days, like, do they disclose all that stuff?
It's in the terms of service, probably.
It's buried in the terms of service, and that's who we're competing with. So that's all I'm saying. It's just like, we always want to do the right thing and put all this there, but anything, just something to keep in mind.
It's still better than the system that exists. I agree with
definitely,
you there.
definitely.
Yeah.
So cool, dude. What do you think that'll get going?
Yeah, so we've already started testing it out. Had a few friends submit some issues, so I'm gonna get a new release out this week.
Kentro's helping you out?
He's added some more Lightning service provider stuff to Mutiny. So there's a new Lightning service provider spec that's being worked on right now. So right now we use Voltage for our LSP. Imagine if you could use any Lightning node on the network.
Wow.
So we're moving towards that model, and he's done a lot of that initial work to get us there.
Nice. What's coming up on the hour, but let me ask you, let me just do rapid fire real quick, because it's probably the last time I'm going to see you in at least till maybe May.
March.
Oh, March.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so me, Ben, and Paul, we're all going to Madeira to join
Party?
Pablo's and Gigi's little accelerator thing that they have going on over there. So they're bringing, I think, 21 different Nostr devs over
21?
there. 21? Yeah.
In one house?
In a co-working spot.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty much like the days of Capital Factory.
Wow.
All
That's
over
going to go
again.
insane.
So there's 21 talented
insane.
devs showing up. There's Pablo and Gigi, and then we're showing up as well. We're being billed as like the North Star, but honestly, like, we're our perspective is like, we're joining everyone else that's trying to figure it out. We just might have a company, but
I don't know.
other than that, we're all trying to figure it out.
The early days of Puebla, it was like me, you, Tony, me, you, Ben, Paul, Sam, Super, John, Michael, Kyle, Keon.
Have we all started companies since then?
Everybody started, dude. Like, isn't that insane? All that talent in one room.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It didn't hold all of us in there. I'll tell you that.
Too many egos in that room, bro. Too many egos in that room.
I mean, that's why we're all CEOs now, right?
But it's just kind of funny. Like, it'd be funny. Like I think when you look back, people will be like, "Oh, it was like a Pleb Lab mafia." Those individuals went off and did something. We'll see. One of us is bound to do something. Yeah. 1 out of 10. But hopefully they're
doing great work.
Yeah. Hopefully they have one of those. Like, hopefully they get that, because I think you won't really know what it is until much later. but you'll know the feeling that you get. And then for me, since doing it since that day, it's always been trying to recapture that same feeling. And I think we have it now, right? But it took a long time to feel that again, at least me personally. So I think I would say like, yeah, just get the right type of people in the room. Find the experimenters, because those are the ones that are gonna start sparks you're not gonna see coming. You're gonna be like, whoa. So I think you guys have, yeah. If you're there, Pence, yeah, it's gonna be fireworks are gonna shoot off. Dude, post videos, man.
Yeah.
Don't dox anybody,
in
but
Madeira,
definitely post videos.
You know, some of the weekends we might go hiking and stuff like that.
It'd be cool to see that kind of stuff just from afar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of that. I mean, you know,
that'd be really cool.
It's just the aspect that, I don't know, new accelerator popping up with new people, new things. Like we're like, okay, I always chasing the new things. So we're gonna go there, see if we can bring any of our experience working at Club Lab before and things like that, and helping out other people. Like I do think there's a bit of a. I mean, honestly, like a lot of that's not just stuff. Like, I mean, there's room for collaboration. There's room for like growing and accelerating. So it's like even personally amongst ourselves, like we're gonna all be living in the same spot, and then we'll probably come back to Austin and all move in together. You know, we're almost treating it as a little trial run to see if like we don't all kill each other if we live in the same house.
Oh, you talking about you?
Yeah, us three coming back to Austin.
You guys are pretty. You guys balance each other out.
Yeah, that's good. But no, I'm looking forward to that. So we're going this month, and we'll be there for 2 months, and then they have a conference there in Madeira, Bitcoin Atlantis.
Oh, nice.
And then after that, we'll come back here, and I think at that time you'll have the hackathon.
Top builder.
At the end, yeah.
Oh, do you want to speak on that?
I don't know. I don't know where I'll be in the world. I might be back for that. But
okay, just let me know. I'd love to have you on there.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
Rapid fire questions.
Oh yeah, rapid fire questions. All right, 3 things you would have done different from when you started Mutiny.
3 things.
Yeah, just 3.
I don't know. I usually don't look back and regret things.
So nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a debate of whether or not we should have launched as early.
So that's 1.
And I don't even know if I would have not done that, but that would be something I had to thought about.
The second one?
Whether or not to build a consumer-facing product.
Oh, wow. Really? You would have just gone like B2B or something?
Yeah, there is potential. There still is. But I think through this atmosphere, I mean, building a consumer-facing wallet that's working on very hard tech problems, I think we can evolve into B2B stuff as well if we pull this off. I mean, we talk to users, we see the pain points, our pain points or everyone's pain points.
Yeah, you could white label that thing, couldn't you?
Space. So yeah, I think there's potential there, but whether or not we made that our first priority, you know, would have been up for debate.
And then the third thing?
Even just understand more about being an early stage startup and trying to build products and raising funds. I mean, just knowing more about that. I don't even know if I would have done anything differently. I just think that if I knew more, maybe I would have done something better. So I think just know more in advance to kind of know. I mean, I've learned a lot in this process, and I'll always keep learning during the process. But just trying to know as much as you can before you get into it, like what it would be. So reading the books, reading the startup books.
Yeah, ahead of time.
I've read some of them. I haven't finished all of them, and there's definitely more to read that are on my to-do list. Maybe if I've done more reading and more, figuring out what to build. I think you definitely need to know at least what you want to build and whether or not if you're going to succeed at that, or how you would know to succeed at it. And what is success to you at different levels. So I don't know, just more product things, I think.
Yeah. What's best advice you gotten so far from either another founder, VC, or advisor, or just anybody in your circle that you definitely maybe don't think too often, but you're like, man, that was some good advice they gave me back then, because if I didn't listen to it, it would have.
It's hard. I'm blanking. You're asking me after like being hungover for a few days after New Year's Day. I think I've gotten so much good advice over last year, but so I don't know.
Can't think of one thing.
But I think advice that I maybe given myself, it's like we're all in it together. We're all figuring it out. Being be nice to other companies in the space, because when you start one day, you might be running into the same problems and need their help just like everyone else.
That's so true. Oh, okay. And then the other one was just me personally. So is it true you and Evan are still good friends?
Oh,
even
yeah.
though the fighting with the Zeus and the beauty stuff?
Love Evan, even if he makes the wrong decision sometimes, but he's still a bro. I mean, I remember.
Is it true he's a god living amongst men?
No, I don't think that.
I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, that's another thing
I'm kidding,
I
Evan.
think he's doing wrong, is making lightning about gods. I think I would rather not have that. But I remember I was in North Carolina, like traveling the United States, and had a call with him years ago about like, hey, I'm building Olympus, building an LSP. What can we do together and stuff like that? Like,
he was telling you for that?
Well, we were talking about
Oh,
like
you were
what it
talking
would
about
look like if he put a lightning node inside of his app. And so I don't know, just we've all gone very far since years ago, right? And so like it's just really cool to see that he's executed on it and he's building it out too, and he's doing a really good job as well. So
do you look to him as when you look in the space, you're out there, you're like, man, it's good to have another person
Oh, absolutely.
like me pushing stuff to the extreme, because it like iron sharpens iron kind of thing.
And we're both underdogs in the space of wallets too. So I think we can kind of, lean on each other for like, okay, what like, some of the wallets in the space, I mean, they've been around since like 2017, 2018, right? So a lot of it's like, do we go down the same path that they had gone and we're always playing catch up, or do we do something new and unique and it's our own little niche and see if we can make something out of that? So I think both Mutiny and Zeus were kind of our own, or kind of like not lone wolves, but like the underdogs in the story, and we get to go our own direction and try things out. So it's really cool to see him do that and him experiment. And we don't hate each other. We
I know,
we
I was
love
kidding.
each other.
I know you
like,
guys love each other.
we fight on social media.
For the clout chase, I think. Right? For the zaps. Y'all do it for the zaps.
Yeah. We fight, but
that was fun watching it.
Yeah.
It was inevitable.
Well, I mean, I think we had a problem with them and they had a problem with us, and we just took it to social media.
Yeah, that was funny. It was great. It was good. It's good for the space. I guess what does happiness look like to you? Going forward, just on a personal friend level.
Yeah.
Where's Tony's happiness these days?
I think a lot of it is having the ability to almost the autonomy, just the autonomous nature of just being able to do what you enjoy and do what, have control over your own life in some way. I mean, especially working at so many startups, you eventually you think, okay, it's time to have say in what you build instead of just being told what to do and what to build. And so just the idea that, I mean, it's twofold, right? I just don't want to do whatever I want, right? Because I think that lacks focus, and I think that lacks the direction and the fire under your ass that you should have. So I think you need to be in check. But I do like that, at least vision wise, at least what I think, Mutiny can be, or what it can become, or what I think I want to build. I'm glad that there's some agreement that it's the right direction, so I get to have a little bit more say in what I do and how we build it, and I mean, whether or not we should be told what to do, we'll see if we fail or not. I mean, like if we massively fail, then it's like, oh, okay, well, it wasn't a good decision to just do whatever I wanted. Maybe I should have been told what to do, but so far it's been great to be able to have that autonomy to kind of say, okay, I think what we're building is the right thing, and other people and other users and people are coming on board, and that feels really nice. So let's keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this quote from that book. It says, happiness is forgetting ourselves in a task that draws in all imagination and creative capabilities. Experiencing something or someone, that's happiness.
Yeah, I would agree. That and experiencing life. Like none of us know what we're doing. So just to figure it out all together and to figure it out with friends along the way, it's pretty awesome.